Every single time I make a video about electric cars, somebody says the batteries are made by slaves, as in legitimate slaves. Sometimes it's children mining cobalt in the Congo. Sometimes it's forced labor in Chinese factories. And this week, it stopped being a YouTube comments problem. A viewer named Anthony emailed me an article from the Sydney Morning Herald. The headline: Modern slavery builds many EVs. What if your government is a customer? This article was sitting behind a paywall. Naturally, so you pay to be told your car is unethical. Guys, I don't have a subscription to the Sydney Morning Herald. I clicked on this article, I couldn't read it, so I had to pay for a subscription, as soon as I'd read the article and done some research on this topic, I cancelled my subscription. So I still had to pay though, unfortunately. Here's the part of Anthony's email. So one of you guys sent me an email asking, what the hell is this all about? Is this true? This is the part that got me. His daughter's teacher told her class that she is personally against electric cars because of slave children working in the mines. A school teacher in Sydney in 2026 teaching kids that they should not buy an EV because EVs are built by slaves, some of them children in the Congo. So today I'm going to take a look at these slavery claims, both of them using data released this week, as in not data from 2021, but from 2026. And I'm going to have a look at the findings of the United States government's own investigation into this story. This is not an opinion, this is evidence. Quick context on that article in the Sydney Morning Herald first, because details matter on this channel. The Herald is owned by Nine Entertainment. The Channel 9 people, not Murdoch, a legacy media business whose biggest shareholder, by the way, is 97-year-old TV billionaire Bruce Gordon. But this piece wasn't written by a journalist at all. In fact, it was written by the New South Wales Anti-Slavery Commissioner, a government official currently reviewing how the state buys electric cars and buses. And buried in his own report is an admission you won't see in any headline at all. On the Electric Viking website, I'll put a link in the description below. We have more articles about electric cars and battery technology than any other website that I'm aware of in the world. So check that out. Link is in the description. And there you'll find our videos and analysis and articles about everything going on in the EV world. Supply chain links to slavery risks are, in his words, quietly he says this, disturbingly easy to find in basically everything you buy. And the real question is what buyers do about them. Remember that line, because by the end of this video, you'll see why it applies to every petrol car as well. It's not EVs. For some reason, he decided just to write about EVs being built by slavery. It's actually petrol and diesel cars as well. The problem isn't that a commissioner is doing due diligence. The problem is that the headlines built on data from 2022, 4 years ago, are teaching Sydney school kids that EVs run on child slavery in 2026. So let's look at what the actual real data from today says. The China Automotive Battery Innovation Alliance just released June's numbers. China's battery installations hit 76.5 gigawatt hours, up 31.5% year over year. So the world's consuming a lot of Chinese batteries right now, a hell of a lot. Here's what matters. Lithium iron phosphate batteries made up 63.7 gigawatt hours of that, a record of 83.3% of everything installed in Chinese vehicles. Lithium iron phosphate. There is zero cobalt in a lithium iron phosphate battery. There's no nickel either. Iron and phosphate are two of the cheapest, most abundant materials on Earth. So that means more than 4 out of every 5 batteries going into vehicles in the world's biggest EV market contain no cobalt whatsoever. Zero. Across the first half of 2026, lithium iron phosphate made up 81% of battery installations, and the share is increasing every month. Back in 2020, ternary, as in NMC batteries that do contain a little bit of cobalt in them, Those outsold lithium iron phosphate in China. 6 years later, they are down to 16% market share and falling. And sodium ion is now scaling commercially. Obviously, sodium ion batteries don't use cobalt or nickel at all. CATL just signed a 5 gigawatt hour sodium storage deal in Europe, and sodium batteries skip the cobalt and the lithium. But some batteries, as in a decreasing number, but some of them do still use cobalt. So let's steelman this argument. The horror stories come from artisanal mining, people who are digging by hand, not industrial mines. A peer-reviewed US Geological Survey study found artisanal mining's share of world cobalt production peaked around 2008 at 23%. In fact, it said up to 23%. It then fell to 6 to 8% by 2020. However, since then, it's collapsed. The Cobalt Institute's 2024 report found artisanal volumes are now under 2% of DRC production. That's about 1% of global supply. The images of children in pits, unfortunately, are real. And yes, they're appalling. But they describe a tiny, minuscule sliver of the supply chain from an era before lithium iron phosphate batteries took over. Less than 1% today. In fact, if you include lithium iron phosphate batteries in this tally, it ends up being about 0.1%. The images of children doing this are terrible. However, these are the numbers that this old article is built on. When I say an old article, it was published a few days ago, but with numbers clearly that were from many years ago. The Commissioner's own earlier research cited 15 to 30% of cobalt coming from informal Congolese mines. That was written in 2022. The world has moved on from that. And here's what nobody mentions to that teacher, that school teacher. Cobalt was never an EV metal. It's in smartphones, laptops, jet engines, and in the catalysts used to refine petroleum. Petrol and diesel can only be sold after cobalt-containing catalysts strip out the sulfur. Every litre pumped into a Toyota Hilux or a Ford Ranger passed through a cobalt catalyst on the way to the fuel pump. If cobalt is your moral objection to EVs, you've just indicted your own petrol car, your own phone, your own laptop, and every flight you've ever taken. So it's a little strange that people are targeting EVs and nothing else. Now, claim 2, CATL batteries and Uyghur forced labor. First, geography. CATL's factories are not in Xinjiang. Its headquarters and biggest plants are in Ningde, Fujian, on China's southeast coast, about as far away from the site of forced labor as you can get and still be in China. For some reason, this report was just going after CATL, particularly going after Chinese batteries as well, but more so CATL, even though they have no battery factories in that location whatsoever. Other factories they have are in Sichuan and Yingzhou, and increasingly in places like Germany, Hungary, and Indonesia. Nobody, not even the most hawkish committee in the United States Congress, has alleged forced labor on CATL's production lines. CATL doesn't use forced labor at all. Read the congressional letters. The allegation was that CATL sourced some raw materials from suppliers in Xinjiang, several tiers upstream. And what happened when the US government actually investigated this? Well, the claims of forced labor. In late 2024, the Forced Labor Enforcement Task Force, the body with the legal power to ban companies under the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, under enormous pressure from Congress, declined to blacklist CATL or Goshon High Tech, another Chinese battery company, and instead listed the two alleged upstream suppliers. The American government's own enforcement task force, with every political incentive to ban China's biggest battery maker, looked at the evidence and did not ban them. CATL called the accusations groundless and said the supplier relationships named had already ceased. Let me be crystal clear. I'm not telling you that this place in China where there's claims of forced labor, which may be accurate, is fine. Human Rights Watch has documented credible evidence of labor transfer programs there, and that deserves to be taken seriously. But the same Human Rights Watch investigation found the car industry's Xinjiang exposure runs mainly through aluminium. About 9% of the world's supply comes from this region. It's used in engine blocks, frames, and wheels, and the car makers named for failing to manage it were Volkswagen, Toyota, General Motors, and Tesla. That report is about the whole industry. Petrol, diesel, hybrid, electric. It's about everything. There's aluminium in every Land Cruiser and every Volkswagen Golf. If Xinjiang imports disqualify an EV, they disqualify the car in your driveway by exactly the same logic, which is precisely what the commissioner meant when he admitted these links are disturbingly easy to find in everything, not just in EVs. So here's what I'd say to Anthony's daughter's teacher. A record 83.3% of batteries in Chinese EVs contain zero cobalt, and the share is growing monthly. Artisanal mining is down to about 1% of global cobalt supply. Petrol cannot be legally sold without cobalt catalysts. Cable's factories are nowhere near the location in China where slave labor apparently has occurred. And the US government examined the evidence and declined to blacklist them. Meanwhile, the documented Xinjiang exposure, aluminium, is in every car on Earth, including yours. Cobalt is in your petrol and your phone, but it only becomes a moral emergency in an EV. Xinjiang aluminium is in the whole car industry, but it's only slavery when the car has a battery. Why is that? In my opinion, that's not a human rights position. It's a marketing position wearing a human rights costume. If these campaigns cared about workers, they'd target smartphones, refineries, and the entire automotive industry. They target EVs because the goal was never about protecting workers. It was protecting the internal combustion engine. And in 2026, the data has left it behind. Let me know what you think in the comments. And Anthony, thanks for the email. I'll see you again in the next video. Need expert advice on what car to buy, what solar system to get, what home battery to get, or potentially for your business? You can get, guys, a one-on-one consultation directly with me, 60 minutes of tailored guidance. This might help you avoid making a huge mistake spending money when you shouldn't, or potentially save you a massive amount of money. Click the link in the description below because I can assist you, and why not? The link is in the description. Thinking about getting solar, a home battery, or an EV charger? Check out Australia's best free comparison tool because it could save you a lot of money. Guys, click on the link below in the description and you can see how much you can save. Alternatively, give Resync a call. They are the guys who installed my battery and my home solar. I'll put a link to them as well in the description.